Luke Skywalker, played by Mark Hamill, returns in The Mandalorian Season 2 finale, Chapter 16, The Rescue, to save Grogu, aka Baby Yoda, and train him to be a Jedi. The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 8 lived up to its title, with Din Djarin, Cara Dune, and Fennec Shand, aided by Boba Fett, and joined by Bo-Katan and Koska Reeves, heading up a rescue mission to get Baby Yoda back from the clutches of Moff Gideon. Having located Gideon's light cruiser with some help from Dr. Pershing, the team embarks on the quest that involves facing off with Dark Troopers, a Beskar vs Darksaber duel, and a number of twists of fate that sees the child pass in and out of safety several times before the end of the episode. Eventually, with hope lost as Mando and the others are prepared to face down the Dark Troopers in a matchup they cannot possibly win, a new hope arrives. An X-Wing lands on the light cruiser, a hooded figure emerges, a black gloved hand ignites a green lightsaber. Dark Troopers are defeated, and Grogu clearly reacts to the presence of someone in the Force, before that person is eventually revealed. Luke Skywalker has arrived in The Mandalorian, saving Baby Yoda and taking him to train as a Jedi, which sets up a huge story for The Mandalorian Season 3 and perhaps even further into Star Wars' future. Luke Skywalker's return in The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 8 is the show's biggest moment to date, and while it's a huge surprise at the very end of the episode, the groundwork has already been laid out for it. Back in The Mandalorian Chapter 14, called The Tragedy, Grogu was placed on the Seeing Stone on the Tython, where he was able to reach out through the Force. At the time, it was speculated that Baby Yoda had possibly seen Luke's Jedi Order in the Force, and that Luke himself may have sensed his presence, something Ahsoka had suggested could happen. While at first it seemed like no Jedi had heard Baby Yoda's call, clearly Luke did. This makes sense because around the timeline of The Mandalorian, Luke is on the search for Jedi and Sith artifacts and learning more about their history and the Force in general. He'd well be attuned to the presence of another Force sensitive, and indeed a place so rich in it such as Tython, which explains how he was able to sense Baby Yoda and then presumably follow that presence to Moff Gideon's light cruiser, alert to the danger the child was in. As most possibly the last Jedi of the Order at this point in time, then Luke would undoubtedly want to do anything it took to save another potential Jedi, and given how strong Baby Yoda is in the Force, as evidenced by his high M count, then he'd even be more aware of how valuable Grogu is. This version of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian is the one fans have long wanted to see on screen because he's clearly at the height of his powers. He became a true Jedi in The Return of the Jedi but continued to train and grow stronger, and it's easy to see his immense power in how he easily defeats the Dark Troopers. It also gives fans a chance to see him wield the green lightsaber properly in the Disney era after the weapon was largely missing from the Star Wars sequel trilogy. After rescuing Grogu, having sensed his presence in the Force, Luke is acutely aware that Baby Yoda needs to be trained by a fellow Jedi so that he can master his potentially incredible abilities and truly be safe. This fits with Baby Yoda's backstory, as previously he had to hide his Force powers in order to stay hidden. It was those same powers that drew the attention of Moff Gideon and the Imperial Remnant, and without the likes of Mando helping him, Grogu's fate could have been very different and a lot more tragic. With the right training, then Baby Yoda no longer has to be defenseless and can have more agency in his own future. A lot of the future remains to be seen. Luke Skywalker is taking Baby Yoda to train him, but the timeline says there are still a few years from Luke starting his Jedi Academy with a young Ben Solo, who was said to be his very first student. This raises a couple of possibilities. The Mandalorian is retconning Star Wars, or Baby Yoda does not become a part of Luke's Jedi Order. Both feel plausible, since Disney has happily disregarded its own canon built up through books and comics if it means better servicing their major live-action properties, so it wouldn't be too surprising if Baby Yoda were to become the foundation for Luke's Jedi Order. If that were to happen though, then it would perhaps mean a very dark fate for Grogu. Ben Solo will eventually turn to the dark side, becoming Kylo Ren and killing Luke's other students, which could mean Baby Yoda dying at his hand. That being said, Baby Yoda has already survived one Jedi purge, so it's possible he could miraculously be stolen away and saved yet again. The Mandalorian makes a brief connection between him and R2-D2, for example, who could find a way of helping with that. Alternatively, there is an option that Baby Yoda does not fully train as a Jedi with Luke Skywalker, or at least doesn't make it to his academy, but instead just with him for a spell in The Mandalorian Season 3. This feels more logical because ultimately The Mandalorian is not Luke's story, but that of Din Djarin and Grogu, so it seems impossible that they won't see each other again soon. The goodbye between the pair, with Mando not only showing Baby Yoda his face but allowing him to touch it, further cements the inseparable bond between the two. Ahsoka Tano has said that Grogu needs to choose his own path. That meant being found by the Jedi, but it may be ultimately with the Mandalorians. Now that Din has the Darksaber and could learn to become the Mandalorian, then it may be setting up a future where Grogu sides with him, choosing the Force but also his family, which could even stretch as far as being the second ever Mandalorian Jedi. Either way, Baby Yoda's long-term future in The Mandalorian should be with Mando and not Luke Skywalker.